Now, welcome everyone here at Elhoim. Hi, me with my accent. I am Elhoim Leafar. I come from Venezuela, so let me give you a very small introduction to this class, and thank you for being here in LlewellynCon 2023. First of all, who I am and which is my book. I am Elhoim Leafar. I come from Venezuela. My upcoming book is Dream Witchery, which is being published in December 8th of this year, 2023. This workshop, Decolonizing Amazon Magic, is a way that I have to approach in many classes how to help people to find a connection with their own roots, wherever it is Amazon or any other place. You can literally apply this knowledge, this practice to any other practice that you have in your life. I put some sources in the chat that you can check. It's a very big list of English sources in English. If do you want the original sources, if do you want the original sources in Spanish or in Portuguese, just let me know because I have information translated and I have the original ones in Spanish. This is accurate list in English. When we come from places like Amazonas, it's a lot of misunderstanding about practices because history has not been like very helpful with us and not very kind. It's to perspective about Amazonas in the worldwide view. From one side of the historians, Amazonas is like this very tremendous place before the colonizers arrived, where just wars and blood and cannibals and that kind of stuff, which in a big part is true. Another perspective for other anthropologists and historians is that Amazonas was some kind of haven where everybody was in balance, living with the animals in the mountains and these kind of things. In a little part is true. The general truth is both are facts. Amazonas not was just blood and wars, was also a very peaceful part because when we're talking about places like Amazonas and South America, we're talking about a very big place, big like North America. It's really big, many tribes. We're talking around 800 tribes approximately in the moment that the settlement happens. These three things that we need to apply for this workshop, three words that I would like to deconstruct for you, decolonizing, Amazon, and magic. Welcome everyone. I'm seeing all your messages. Thank you. You make me feel very good here. The first word that we want to deconstruct here is magic. We use the word magic in English and the word magia in Spanish directly from Greek because 11% of the words in Spanish comes actually from the Greek. The word magic comes from the Latin magus, that is very well known. This comes from the Greek magia, and this comes from the Old Persian magius or magus, and this comes from the Proto-Indo-European, probably was pronounced angia or amia. And the word magic is the term that we apply for a bulk set of tools in which we put everything related with the control of some kind of energy. Green magic, black magic, folk magic, Wicca, and different aspects of magic. For example, everything in the universe, not in a metaphysical way, in a scientific way, everything in the universe is made of energy and molecules of light. That's the reason why when black holes are in the universe and they absorb planets and galaxies, they just turn all of this in just light, in just molecules of light, and they explode in just light. Because in the end of the day, we are just light and energy. This is a scientific fact, right? When we are trying to talk about magic, green magic, black magic, red magic, blue magic, cyan magic, star magic, whatever kind of magic do you practice, you are trying to acknowledge some kind of practice and put together practices, spells, recipes, and all of this is some way of magic. And all the ways of magic in the end are valid because they study different aspects of how this energy manifests and control different consequences around the world. The cause is the spell, the recipe, the ritual that you are doing, and the consequence is the magic manifesting itself. That's the word magic. The second word that we need here to deconstruct is the word decolonizing. For that, we need to understand what is exactly colonizing. Colonizing, not in an etymological aspect, is the act or the consequence when we go to a place and this place is colonized or owned for someone else. I just discovered this place, these people, this culture, and I put my flag in there and I reclaim this place. I reclaim something that is not totally mine, wow, many messages. I'm trying to read you. We have, I put my flag in there and I reclaim this place. I totally ignore the culture, the language. I just reclaim this place for myself. That is Elohim colonizing something. When you decolonize, this is something that you can apply to lands and people, but also you can decolonize yourself. You can make the exercise to think how I am colonized, how I can decolonize my mind, how I can decolonize my practice, how I can decolonize my spirit, how I can decolonize my religion. Because we are colonized in a certain level. Our food, or workouts, or clothes, the way how we try to decorate our home are many things in our lives that are actually colonized. And our work, like energy practitioners, like workers, energy worker, magicians, try to decolonize yourself, because in the moment that you decolonize yourself, you take out the flags and the chains that someone else put in there. And an example of this is right now we are in the month of Pride, the LGBTQIA2 plus Pride, and you see flags around, right? When you walk for the streets and you see the rainbow flag, you are watching the place and you assume, oh, this place is gay owner, is queer owner, is trans supportive, is gay allies. Is in some way, it's not the colonization, but you are reclaiming something. It's the flag. It's the same thing about the colonizing. The flags are always involved with the aspect of colonizing or decolonizing. And the third word that we need to deconstruct here is Amazon. Amazon, South America. Many people in their books put that Amazon, the word comes from some kind of Amazonian goddess, and it's not. Francisco Orellano was a warrior, a very Christian warrior, many years ago, like hundreds years ago. And this man Orellano, he was fighting the tribes, the Tupi tribes, very close to the northeast of Brazil. When they were fighting, he noted that the fighters in the Amazonas, they were men and women, not just men. They were like the Vikings. Women were allowed to fight. And he see this and related with the Amazon from the Greek myth. And he assumed, oh, they are like the Amazonas, like the Greek woman warriors. And they put this name in the original maps around 1826. All the maps say that that little area on Amazonas was called Amazon for that reason. And while the time was advancing, the maps just grow and grow and grow that area. Nobody take the time to put other names in the place, and just all that part of South America is now Amazonas. In English, pronounced Amazon. How we pronounce it in there is Amazonia, not any of the other two. Amazonas have multiple names. If you read in any encyclopedia or book that is original name for Amazonas, that is totally wrong. It's not original name because we're 800 different tribes in Amazonas, all of them with different languages and cultures and religions, and all of them have a different name for the place. But we have a specific word that is generally used for multiple of these tribes, which is the word Morowi. Morowi means home. Morowi means ceiling. Morowi also means the path to your home. For example, you are one day in the Orinoco River, you are listening music, you are fishing, you are taking your fish from the water, and you see that the sun is coming down and it's the hour to go home because it's turning very dark. So you say, you just point to one direction, you say Morowi. That means I'm going to home. Morowi is a general word that we use to refer to Amazonas, and it's a word that many tribes use, and actually comes from the Guarani and the Guayu tribes. And the Guayu tribes are like the neighbors, the friendly, ex-friendly neighbors from the Arawaks. I'm assuming that many of you here in this workshop are related with the word Arawak. Probably you listen or read the word Arawak in any moment, because one of the most important characters in the history of magic and witchcraft is Tituba. Tituba comes from the Arawak tribes. Now let me decolonize some information very important here for you. For many years in the books they put, oh, Tituba is the name of this witch accused of witchcraft. She was a person of color. She was from the slaves. She was bring from the Barbados. Her name was Tituba. Actually, Tituba is not a name of a person. Tituba is a title which actually means the wife of the king. because for that tribe, which was just one of the many branches of the Arawaks, they don't recognize the charge of a queen, but they have the wife of the king, and the wife of the king is some kind of priestess. She don't have the role or the character or the position to be like some kind of ruler, but she has the religious ruler for the whole tribe. Tituba is this role, not a name, and Tituba was the wife of Titibo. Some kind of fact that you can compare here is the fact that Titibo is a city of Colombia. Colombia was in that moment not colonized, but was very inhabited for Arawak tribes that were slaves in that specific area. And the city of Titibo, between many other reasons why they have the name, was the fact that the king Titibo was in there, and the city was named for Titibo, the king, and his wife Tituba was the woman who was very young. They were married when they were like around 15 or 16, and she was kidnapped for the colonizers, taken to the United States, and she turned in a slave here when she was there, a queen. More information that I need to put here. So why is this workshop so important? Decolonizing Amazon magic is my way to say decolonizing any way of magic. You just need to research the information that you have, because many of our practices and religious practices in the aspect of witchcraft and brujeria are very colonized. We have a lot of information there, but many of these aspects continue just being overwhelming colonized, because my English is very limited and I can't find the word in this moment. But many of the aspects of witchcraft and magic just continue reclaiming, oh, this is for the freedom, this is for the rebels, this is for the warriors, but continue just repeating the same pattern. And you see how many of these traditions or way of magic continue just overwhelming the Black community and the Indigenous community. Amazonas is generally this very big place where we see each year certain group of white European anthropologists who arrive in the place. They talk a different language. We need to learn their language to communicate with them. So we end learning like 8 or 9 or 12 languages in each tribe, because we need to contact with these people. And they come there, they just stay there for like 2-3 days. They make some studies and they go back, and they are now writing books about how is the people in Amazon, the tribe, they are so not technologically advanced, things like that. And they take a lot of our religion or practices, cacao ceremonies, ayahuasca, sepo ceremonies. We have so many magical ceremonies in which everybody is welcome. But when you take this kind of practice out of the context, you entirely don't know what are you doing. For example, the case of ayahuasca. Ayahuasca is very well known worldwide. But ayahuasca is a whole sacred ritual, and ayahuasca is not the plant, it's the ceremony. But people say, oh, I was there, was smoking ayahuasca. You know where smoking ayahuasca, you was present in a sacred traditional ritual with around 200 years of existence just written down, because we know that ayahuasca, or the sepoy, how we call it, is older than that. It's entirely older than that, because the plants were sown in the land at least 400 years ago. Amazonas, when it was discovered for Christopher Columbus, no was like, oh, we arrived and the indigenous communities are here from, I don't know, 200 years ago. No, actually, anthropologically talking, we have people living in Amazonas from 200,000 years ago, at least. They didn't evolve scientifically or linguistically too much, because they were always fighting with each other. And many times we have different people coming around the continent from other different places who come to steal the gold and go out before Christopher Columbus do it. I see that I have a lot of people here from the Arawak tribe. The Arawak tribe are the most wonderful tribe to put. For example, if you check the sources that I put in the first of the chat, is many sources in the about the Arawaks. Why the Arawaks are so fascinating in the history? The Arawaks, they know were like, for many people, oh, they are like the Puerto Ricans. No, they know were the Puerto Ricans. They were like the owner of the whole land. They were the navigators. They were the sorcerers. Like 56 or 65, I don't remember the number of the words that we use in religious and magical practices in the indigenous communities actually come from the Arawak, because they were so cool, so good warriors that they survived a lot of the aspects of the colonization. They continue trying to give their language to other tribes to survive. And when for moments the whole island of La Perla was extinguished, all the original tribes in there, because the few who survived escaped to other places, they continue giving their language to other tribes in a way to survive. If I don't survive, please learn my language, please learn my practice, please learn about my religion. And many of the practices that we actually have right now, including in Voodoo and Hoodoo in North America, come from the Arawas who were enslaved here. If you have the chance of read not just book about Tituba, but also any book on Arawak history, you will see a lot of relations in how Hoodoo and Voodoo practice is correlated with these original indigenous tribes, because they were the Black slave and indigenous communities who were trying to create or craft some kind of religion to survive to the colonizers, killing them day by day and enslaving them. We have not just the Arawaks, we have also the Guayos, we have the Caribes, we have the Tepuis, we have the Tupi people, which actually are actually one of the most biggest tribes in the whole South America, and they own around 13 different languages. And when you do this kind of research, you have the chance to connect with yourself, because this is the example that we have in America, in South America. Try to see the religion and your personal magical practice like a tree. The tree have roots under the land, but also have branches. If the branches are not receiving sunlight and rain, they can nurture in any possible way the roots that are below. But if the roots are not receiving some kind of humidity and the strength around the whole tree will fall down, you need to nurture yourself, not just outside, not just superficially, but also inside. You need to try to sit down and make the research about your practice. For example, not just talking about people who identify like Black people. Imagine that you identify like a white person in America and you have 10 or 20 or 30 years of practice on magic. And after a certain amount of time, you say, okay, my practice is very nurturing for me, it's very well made, I really feel empowered and wise and powerful, I feel I can make change in my life and the life of others, but I want to go a little deeper. So you try to check without the privilege from where I actually come. And you say, okay, I am a white person who actually, my family comes from, they were Scottish, or they come from Ireland, or they are German. So maybe you have some kind of magic coming from there that you are not reclaiming. And when you are not reclaiming magic, it's not like the magic is there sleeping, waiting for you. The magic is beating in there, calling you. When you feel the call, it's because they are literally calling for you. And this is the same thing with the indigenous practices. One of the things that I was trying to do in this new book upcoming in December, which is doing Witchery, was trying to put not just recipes and spells from indigenous tribes. I actually made the research and translate from the original language to English the history of 14 different tribes, which are put in the book, and you can see how their practices develop the whole character of their tribe, their traditions, and their culture. Because, for example, tribes are not named because someone say, oh, we are the Arawaks or we are the Guayos. They were named from the place from where they come. For example, when you see the Arawak mountains, the people who were living there, they were named for the colonizers. Oh, they are the Arawaks because they come from there. But actually, the Arawaks don't call themselves Arawaks in that moment. The Guajiros don't call themselves Guajiros, they call themselves Guayo, and each different tribe has different names for them. It's like we have this example in Caracas, Venezuela, now in the city, not in Amazonas. Probably the aliens in the space, if they exist, they don't call us humans, they put some kind of other name on us, but we continue being human for ourselves. Now I'm going to check some of the comments here. Sorry, I'm sweating so much. This is New York and this is summer. Okay, I have many comments here. We have Taino people here. Sorry to say this comment, but Caribs were not really, they were Taino. Yeah, the Caribs and the Tainos are two different indigenous communities The Caribes are the reason why Caracas in Venezuela is named Caracas, because we have the legend that the Caribes were hiding in the caves in Caracas. And actually, when you are in the, I don't know how to say this in English, in the road, when you are in the road coming to the city, you have a very big statue of an indigenous man, some kind of indigenous leader with feathers in his whole body to represent the Caribes. And below the statue is the legend that the Caribes were hiding in the caves. And in some places in Caracas, Venezuela, for example, in El Valle or Coche, in these places, we continue having caves between the city, caves that actually are not hiding. In this case, the Caribes were hiding in that moment. They were blended with the Araguas after a certain amount of time when they were trying just to survive against a common enemy. Historically, that happened. But in the first moment, they were the same. It's important to remember that we are talking that South America have at least, before the colonization, 800 different tribes, and right now they are just 362 or 365, depending on the source that you are checking. And all of these tribes don't talk the same language, they don't have the same gods or deities. Another misunderstanding about Amazonas is that everybody in Amazonas are friends. It's like when you have a gay friend and you know another gay person. Oh, we have this person in common. You don't know this person who is gay, and it's like, no, we are not just people around the world. With indigenous communities, it's exactly the same. It's many tribes, many people, many cultures, many history, many deities. And many of these tribes were just forgotten and totally eradicated from history. The Caribes and the Taínos, just like the Araguacs and many other tribes, they are different people from different places, which were in the end separate historically because they were fighting each other. But when the colonizer arrived, it's important to remember they have a common enemy. And after a certain amount of time, they just tried to make some kind of alliances if they were possible just to survive. Yes, I have much more sources for you that I can share with you in other moment because I just try to put here the sources in English. Maybe next year we can make a whole workshop on Caribbean magic, which was actually one of my first ideas, but that implies to give you a whole history of the Caribbean migration, which is super interesting because like I think what I remember from the high school is that 62% of the, no, 63% of the tribes living around the Caribbean come from different parts of South America, mostly from Amazonas. They migrate from there. We have many different tribes, at least 6 of them continue living right now in their places. But the history is very complex because this is not just like talking about one group of people. We're talking about many different groups of people hiding and running when the colonizers arrived in America, and they were using the sea, the rivers, the water, the caves, the mountains to hide. And many times they see each other like, okay, we are enemies, but we have a common enemy now, so we need to try to create some kind of alliance right now, and they try to fight together. Historically, for example, the reason why we use right now the word Guajiro in Spanish is because 5 different groups of the Guayus, in one moment, they just choose to make an alliance and make just one big group, one just big language, and now they are the Guajiros in Venezuela, who live in the north of Venezuela, very close to Trinidad and Tobago, where actually many Araguas and other tribes continue living right now. Okay, about my book Dream Witchery. My book Dream Witchery is a whole compilation about tribal magic from the indigenous communities in a very respectful way. The things that should be kept secret, still secret, are not in the book. Everything that you can see when you travel to Amazonas and visit the tribes, and this like public information that is around. Some of them are on internet. I just try to make try to curate the information depending of living there what I learned living in there, what information I know is wrong outside, because many books are very wrongly translated. It's a some kind of famous book on indigenous magic that was published in 1998 from Oscar Taruela, I think. That book was originally published in German using sources in Spanish, then was translated to French, and when they translate again to Spanish, they use the French version, which was translated from German. So in the end, the book is just a very bad book because it was wrongly translated, and many of the terms are a disaster. So I take all of this kind of information, like, I know this is not true because I was there, so let me put what is the real information. So in Dream Witchery, what I did was try to, in each chapter, you will find different initiations and rituals from the indigenous communities of Amazonas, referring to some kind of dream magic, because for the indigenous communities, dreams was some kind of general aspect of sorcery, in which they have something in common. All of them have different deities, different religions, different practices from different places. But in the end of the day, most of the indigenous tribes in South America believe generally that the dream world and the water world were the same world. I'm sorry, where the deities and the spirits were living together. So I try to put all of this information like, oh, they have something in common, the dreams magic. For all of them, dreams are the portal to the other world. So if I try to take this like the core of the book, I can give you all the information. I have the perfect excuse to give you all this tribal indigenous information that I have and I want to share. And I put all that together in the book. Also, I have some very nice favorites in the book from some authors and colleagues that I really respect a lot. And I invite them to collaborate, and many of them say yes, and they put some spells in the book, so you can make a contrast between our indigenous practice and how it is magic in other parts of the world. For example, this author from France, this author from United Kingdom, this author from Costa Rica, this author from Brazil, how it is magic for them, and all of that is compilated in the book, chapter by chapter. I'm not sure how much time we have, but if do you have any question, please let me know. I will take a sip of water in this moment. We have time for one more question. Let me check all your messages because, sorry, I can't respond. It's too many messages, more than what I was expecting, but you know where to find me. Look for my name, Google my name, because it's very complicated. Elhoim Leafar, you Google it, and you will find me anywhere. Carry Overlink. This is heartbreaking to understand how many indigenous magical practices were lost and manipulated due to the colonization. Yeah, many of the indigenous tribes even need to quit their original religion, because when they were enslaved and taken to other places, the idea was separate and conquest. When the colonizers arrived, they know that if they keep the families together, they will turn stronger. So they separated them. And when they noted that not all the tribes told the same language, this was easier, because if you separate them, they can't understand each other. So you separate them to different places. You take the Arawaks to Trinidad and Tobago, to Barbados, to Cuba, to Brazil, to United States, and you make the same with other different tribes. And in the end, you have too many powerful people totally separated, all of them slaves in different places. And in the end of the day, they don't have alliances with anyone because they don't know anyone. You separate and, conquest. That's what they did, and that's the reason why they end losing their practices, because they don't have someone to who generate the practice. The few information that we have is because many tribes continue living. Even right now in 2023, one of the articles that I put in the sources in the chat is tribes that continue being disconnected from the people. They don't want any contact with anybody. They continue living in their own way, with their own food, with their own culture, their own language, and their own religion. And they don't want to have any kind of influence from anyone else. Puerto Rico and New York. Many Puerto Ricans come from the tribes. Many. I can talk about this because this will be a whole workshop, and I need someone who is actually Puerto Rican to talk better about this because it's not my area. I'd rather not appropriate something that is not mine. But the Taino culture and the Taino magic is wonderful. Actually, you will find a lot of influence in the voodoo of New Orleans from the actual Tainos because they were like the original people doing magic in America before anyone else. I think if you want to learn, the first thing to do is buy a couple of books, any books, research the information, and if do you have, say, the money, I know this is like very entitled from me, but if do you have the chance to travel to these places and learn directly, thank you, Enrico, and learn directly from these people, you will learn much more because most of the knowledge that I have on magic comes actually from my grandma and my mom, watching them doing everything more than what I have learned in many years just reading books, because the book is a guidance from the perspective of someone else explaining to you how they did something, but it's not the same as being there watching people doing the ritual or doing the dancing. When you have the chance to travel to Cuba or Venezuela or Brazil and see the people doing the rituals, the initiations, crafting something, you see there the magic, the devotion, the respect of the people, but it's entirely different. So if you have the chance to connect with someone, or if you don't have the opportunity to travel yet, but you have the chance to connect with a little group of people who have some information related on this topic that you are looking for, like, oh, I want to learn more about the Tainos or the Arawas. Let me relate with a little group of people about this same kind of information. Probably you can share more, make some corrections with each other, figure out some books, because the best way to learn is directly from the practice. And if you want to learn from the real practitioners, you need to go with the practitioners. It's like, I can tell you how to do ayahuasca step by step without any problem, but it's not the same me telling you how to do it that you go into the place, especially with the Peruvians, and see how they actually do it, how they actually craft, how they take the airs, how they take the monte and do everything in there for you, how they smoke it, how they move the smoke around the place. All of this is entirely different when you see it and you're there than when I'm just telling you. Thank you. Okay, I think that we passed the time. We have used for 2 minutes. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure for me. I am Elhoim Leafar. Thank you to the people behind Llewellyn worldwide for organizing this. I don't know was easy. You can watch this on YouTube. You can share if you want. Thank you, everyone. A lot of love. Be yourself, be wild, and take care of yourself and your loved ones. Be nice. Bye.